Hi everybody, welcome to the video. I'm Olivia and I review fragrances, so if that's something you're into, please consider subscribing. So for those of you who already know who I am, I'm really excited because today we're going to be talking about Halston perfume. So show of hands, how many of you have heard of this before the Netflix series? Anybody? Anybody? I had not heard about it myself. So basically, there is a show, like a mini series on Netflix called Halston, which is about the designer from the 70s, 80s, and I mean, I think he started in like late 60s. So the character is played by Ewan McGregor. Fantastic. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So those of you who do not know me, I am a hairdresser, and I was talking with one of my clients, and she was talking to me about shows that we've been watching, and she said, you know what, I have a really good one for you because I know that you do the fragrance channel. Have you ever heard of Halston? And I was like, no, I haven't heard of that. She said, it's a mini series, it's on Netflix, you have to watch it. He's actually a clothing designer, and this was a true story, and it's about his rise and fall, and a lot of the fall was contributed to drug usage, right? So it's a really, really interesting watch. And of course, I was super interested in the fragrance that they talk about without giving too many spoilers away. He's a fashion designer, and then he gets into the world of fragrances, and he causes quite a bit of a stir because he wanted to create a bottle that was a little bit asymmetrical, and the company told him, no, you're not able to do that because the machine that puts the caps onto the bottles goes straight down, and his was going to be slightly at an angle, and it was causing a big fuss, but he was very, very specific about wanting that shape. So it was he was very revolutionary for the time. It was a fragrance for women, and in his time he was a huge designer, and then had kind of a dramatic downfall where he sold out and he was no longer a wonderful designer, but instead was in like Sears and stuff like that. I got the fragrance. I ordered it off FragranceNet, and we're going to talk about this today. So I'm going to pull up the notes on my phone to read to you guys. Before I do that, let me show you the bottle. Here it is. As you can see the tilt. I think it's such a cool bottle. It's got kind of like an ivory color up here, and here's the sprayer, and you can see the juice is a really lovely color. And what size is this? This is a 3.4 fluid ounce, and I got this for, I honestly, I think like $20. So if it ends up being your taste, you can still get it online. And I actually checked the batch code, and this was made this year. So I had no idea that they're still manufacturing this. So it's not like I was buying a really old bottle. As you could see in my last video talking about expired fragrances being sold at department stores. I'm not really into those. Okay, so this is considered a ship floral. And the notes, bear with me here, it's a lot. So we've got green leaves, mint, melon, bergamot, peach, marigold, carnation, cedar, orris root, rose, ylang ylang, jasmine, oak moss, amber, vetiver, incense, patchouli, sandalwood, and musk. So that is a hell of a lot of notes. So it is a very multifaceted fragrance. So I'm gonna give the box a little spray, and I'm gonna try, because some of you at home, if you're not into fragrances, or even if you're into fragrances, I don't know if I'd be able to understand what that smells like if I were to just read all of those. So I'm gonna spray it and see if I can get a little bit more simplified description. Okay, so there's like an undeniable greenness to this. I can smell like that mint in there. To be honest, I don't really smell a lot of like the melon, bergamot, peach. I don't really smell that. The first thing I get is like a very green note, almost like leafy. And then As far as the middle notes go, I'm getting that rose and ylang ylang, but I'm not getting tons of jasmine. And then the orris root. And then as far as the base notes go, the oak moss, again, with that kind of green component. And it definitely does have that like incense patchouli smell to it. And I mean, I get a little bit of the musk, I get a little bit of the sandalwood, but mainly when I smell this, it's green, it's powdery, it's resinous, and it is very vintage. If you're like me, I'm definitely a fan of Ewan McGregor, and so that sold me on that show. And it was, I mean, it's a great watch for those of you who are like me. I have the attention span of a fly. I can't like commit myself to like multiple seasons of like long shows. This is a mini series, so it's easy to stay along with, and you know, you really get wrapped up in the story. And for us fragrance lovers, knowing that there is a big element of fragrance that's going to be in there is amazing. So of course I was curious to pick up this fragrance, and I would say it's clean, it's woodsy, but it is oh so vintage. This is not going to be for a lot of younger folks. I'm just gonna put that out there. I think that it's, personally, there's a big nostalgia to this scent, and I'm not certain if someone in my family wore this at some point, but it was a very, very popular, it came out in 1975, and so, you know, a lot of my aunts or maybe even my grandmother wore it. I can't clock who in my family wore this, but I think either this or something like it. So if you're not a vintage fragrance lover, you're not gonna like this at all. Like, I won't lie, you're not gonna like it. It just reads dated, you know, and I personally, I kind of like that. Like, I like that it is loud, it is very much, you know, I mean, although it came out in 1975, it would have then had popularity in the 80s as well. And this just kind of reminds me of those loud 80s fragrances that just like, boom, they blast you, right? And I feel like today, a lot of fragrances are very like demure, dainty, and I'm like, I want a spandex power suit with shoulder pads, and I want to wear this. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you want to be loud, and that's really fun. And I picked this up for so cheap that it's like, okay, I'm not gonna wear it super frequently. It's not exactly my regular signature scent worthy type smell, but I can really enjoy it. And you know what? As it sits, it's kind of developing, and it almost has like a warm honey scent, even though that wasn't listed. It has almost like a sweetness in the base to it. And some of those more woody tones, like the sandalwood, are coming through more as it's sitting, obviously, because those top notes die down. But if you can get past the initial spray of like, wow, that's very green, that's very rose scented, that's very, very vintage, I will say it once again. You know, it just smells like an older smell. And at the end of the day, that's perfect, that's amazing. So, although I'm sure that this fragrance profile is not going to be making much of a comeback with people my age or around my age, or even just in modern day, I think that this is probably a scent profile that's going to be retired. You know, I feel like it's going to be left. But here's the thing. I have read a couple of the reviews, and some people have said that this is not the original formula, and as we all know in the fragrance community, things do change over time, so it is quite possible that this isn't the original scent, but it actually, and as I'm smelling it too, has a bit of like a soapy feel to it. So imagine, it kind of smells like, you know, the orange antibacterial dial soap with a little bit of like like pine scent, and then a little bit of like rosiness and a little bit of woodiness. That's the best that I can kind of like paint a picture for you guys. The other notes, it's like, there's so many notes that of course it's gonna all kind of blend together to one scent, but that's my standout for these. So I know that this is, you know, I usually don't do just a review on like one fragrance, but this was really just my attempt to tell you guys to go watch that show. Tell me what you think of it. Fragrance lovers should know more about this show. And if you guys get some time, you should check out my last video. I'm talking about fragrances in like Ross, TJ Maxx, stuff like that, that make sure that you're checking the batch code on them, because although there are plenty of good ones there are also some quite old ones. So yeah, I'm Olivia. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.